zarua la tzadik. Or zarua la tzadik. Uleishrei lev, uleishrei lev, uleishrei lev, simcha. Or zarua la tzadik. Or zarua la tzadik. Uleishrei lev, uleishrei lev, uleishrei lev. Or zarua la tzadik, light is sown for the righteous, joy for the upright. Or zarua la tzadik. Or zarua la tzadik, uleishrei lev, uleishrei lev, uleishrei lev, uleishrei lev, simcha. Or zarua. Zarua la tzadik, or zarua la tzadik, uleishrei lev, uleishrei lev, uleishrei lev, simcha. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We're going to continue with Shalom Alechem, welcoming in Shabbat, page 142. Shalom Alechem, Malachei Hasharetz, Malachei Elyon, Minelech, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem, Boachem leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruchuni leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Kadosh Baruch Hu, Teitchem leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Bimelech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom to Mayel and her family on the weekend of her bat mitzvah. We're so excited to celebrate with you and have you called to Torah tomorrow morning. A little spoiler alert, the whole family is reading Torah tomorrow. Generation to generation to generation. A really Lador Vador moment. So we look forward to that. And I want to welcome Rochelle Garfinkel back to the congregation. Welcome home, Rochelle, our executive director for a decade or more, at least 13 years, something like that. And now the director of Jewish Seniors Alliance. So Rochelle, welcome back. And welcome to all of you. It's going to be, I guess, a snowy night. It hasn't turned out to be so much so, but cold. So hopefully you'll feel the warmth of Shabbat as we come together to celebrate these simchas, but also to pray for loved ones who are sick, to acknowledge the blessing of memory of those who are no longer with us. For all of those reasons, it's good to be together and to sing together. We're going to welcome Shabbat with the lighting of the Shabbos candles and ask Mayel and Jaden and Marcia and Lisa, just as we practice, to join us at the center Amud to lead us in a reading on page 121. The reading's right there near them. No, you do it right there. You do it.
That's where the mic is.
We did practice.
They got it.
Okay, let's go.
As we Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we by our lives give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light.
It's the first test of becoming about mitzvahs. Can you light 2 candles in front of a room full of people?
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you.
So we're going to turn to our Kabbalat Shabbat service, which is a collection of psalms and lechadodi, this liturgical poem or piyut, that are all for the purpose of welcoming in Shabbat, but also preparing ourselves for this holy time, this time that is set apart from the rest of the week for rest, for Torah, and celebration, of course, as well. We start with Lechu Neranena, page 130. Come, let us sing joyously together these words of Psalms. Lechu Neranena l'Adonai, Nariya letzur yisheinu. Lechu Neranena l'Adonai, Nariya letzur yisheinu. Nekadma fanav v'toda, mizmirot nariya lo. Nekadma fanav v'toda, mizmirot nariya lo. Yalai lai 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 lai, lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yalai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai lai lai, yalai lai lai lai, yalai lai lai lai, yalai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yalai lai lai lai, yalai lai lai lai, yalai lai 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 lai, yalai lai lai. Page 131, Shiru Ladonai. Shiru Ladonai, Shir Chadash, Shiru Ladonai kol haaretz. Shiru Ladonai, Baruchu Shemo, Basro miyom leyom Yeshuato, Zapro v'goyim, kevodo bechol ha'amim, nifleotav, ki gadol Adonai, umulal meot, norahu, al kol Elohim, ay rai rai, yalai lalai lai, yalai lalai lai, yalai lalai lai, yalalai yalalai, yalai lalai lai, yalai lalai lai, yalai lalai lai, yalalai yalalai, yalai lalai lai, yalalai yalalai, yalai lalai lai, yalalai lai, yai lai lai, yalalai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai lai. Page 133, Mizmor Shiru. And if you don't know the Hebrew, you can always sing Yalalai. Mizmor Shiru Ladonai, הושיע לו ימינו זרוע קודשו דיע אדוני ישועתו לעיני הגויים גילת צדקתו זכר חסדו ואמונתו לבית ישראל ראו כל עשי הארץ את ישועת אלוהינו הריעו אל אדוני כל הארץ פיצחו ורננו בזמרו ילי לי 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 ילי לי 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 ילי לי 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 ילי לי So we turn now to Lecha Dodi, page 138, where we get to welcome Shabbat in, and we see Shabbat, the day, described as a queen and a bride. The Shabbos queen. And that's part of the reason why we stand up for that last verse and face our entrance to welcome in Shabbat, the queen and the bride. Lecha Dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekavela O lecha Dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekavela Shamor bezachor bediבור echad ishmianu elam yuchad Adonai echad u'shemo echad leshem u'tiferet ve'litila O lecha Dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekavela O lecha Dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekavela Likrat Shabbat lecho velecha ki hi mekor haberacha merosh mikedem nesucha sof maaseh b'machshava tchila O lecha Dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekavela O lecha Dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekavela Verse 3 Mikdash melech ir melucha kumitei mitoch hafecha Rav lach shevet b'nei kabacha ve'u yachamol alaychem O lecha Dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekavela O lecha Dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekavela Verse 5 Hitoreri ki va'orech umiori uri shidaveri kevod Adonai alayich nigla O lecha Dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekavela
face the door to greet the Sabbath bride.
Boi v'shalom, ateret bala, gam besimcha, ubetzola, toch emunei, am segula, boi chala, boi chala. Facing front, all together, one more time.
Can be seated for a moment. Are we doing 140?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
One more that we've added on here to help us transition from that height of Lecha Dodi. Halfway through on page 140, we find the words of Tzaddik Katamar. Psalm 92.
The righteous shall bloom.
Isn't that beautiful imagery?
It is.
We have a lot of like nature imagery in these psalms, trees and water, and this is the righteous shall bloom like a date palm type of tree. They thrive like a cedar in Lebanon. Tzaddik Katamar yifrach ke'erez balanon שתולים בבית אדוני בחצרות אלוהינו יבריחו עוד ינון בשיבה דשנים ורעננים יהיו להגים כי השער אדוני צורי אורי ולא
We turn now in our siddurim to page 263. We'll rise for Chatzi Kaddish, and as we do, we want to invite Mael to come up onto the bima to prepare to lead the rest of our service. Mael, come on up. 263.
ויתקדש שמי רבה, ואלמד יברח חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון, ובחיי דכל בית ישראל. בגלה בגלה, ובזמן קריב וימרון, אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם ולעולמי המיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה ושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמה ואימרו אמן.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Le'olam Va'ed. Please be seated.
May be seated. Page 265.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bivra ma'ariv arbim b'chokhma potei sherim uvit ve'enach mishnei etim umechalif et hazmanim
ומסדר את הכוכבים. במשרותיהם כי כרצונו. בורא יום ולילה, גולל אור מפני חושך, וחושך מפני אור. ומבדיל יום ולילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה. עיני צבאות שמו, על חי וקיים, תמיד לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, המרעיב ערבים. אהבת עולם בית ישראל, עם אהבת תורה ומצוות וקיים משפטים, אותנו למדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו, משבנו ובקומנו, נשיע בכוחך, ונשמע בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואור ימינו, ובהם נגה יומם ולילה.
באהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל.
שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום אל לבביך, ושינתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם ליד על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וקרבתם מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתיכם מארץ מצרים, להיות להם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. We continue responsively on page 269. We worship the power that unites the universe, a promise of harmony for all.
Yet that oneness eludes our grasp.
As in perfection and evil abound.
Before our eyes there is a vision of perfection, order, and goodness.
There is evil enough to break the heart, and there is good enough to exalt the soul.
When will redemption come?
When we grant everyone what we claim for ourselves.
Long ago, we escaped the tyranny of Egypt. Our people saw the power of the Most High.
We learned God's presence redeems time and event, so we celebrate this power that makes for freedom. We're going to sing as we're now in this Hebrew month of Kislev, getting ready for Hanukkah soon. We're going to sing Mi Chamocha to that well-known tune of Ma'od Sur, page 270.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar v'kodesh, nor adilot osef ele malchutecha. Bokei lifnei Moshe uMiriam, zelianu ve'ameru Adonai imloch leolam va'ed, v'ne'emar כיבד אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
Hashkivenu 271.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך. אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני, הבורא סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל, ועל ירושלים.
Page 272.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, ביני ובין בני ישראל, ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. Yam bada dai dai, Shabbat Shabbat, yam bada dai dai dai, Shabbat Shabbat, yam bada dai dai dai, Shabbat Shabbat, Shabbat Shabbat Shalom. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ים בדי די די, שבת שבת, ים בדי די די, שבת שבת, ים בדי די די. Shabbat, 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 Shalom.
Invite everyone to please rise and we turn to page 274. Mael leads us in the Amidah.
Ata Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzhak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rahel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol, HaGibor v'Hanara, El Elyon, Gomel HaSodim Tovim, V'Konei HaKol, V'Zorhei HaSevot v'Yomot, U'Migula v'Nemehem, L'man Shemo Be'ahava, Mele Orzer Meshu Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham v'Zrak Sarah. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mehayei metim atah Ravoloshia. Mashiv harua armardim hagashem. Mehakel hayim behesed. Mehayei metim berachamim rabim. Somech nofim v'cholim. Umatir asurim. Umakayem emlato v'shene yafar mihamo harbagavurut umido mela mele mimit umahaya umasmirat Yeshua v'man atalehayot metim baruch atah Adonai mehaye hametim.
Page 276.
אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יעללו חסלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
You're holy, your name is holy, and those who are holy praise you every day. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
Amen.
Please be seated. Yasher Koach, Mael. Fantastic job. We'll see you a little bit later in the service, but for now, we're going to join together on page 279, Ritzeh.
Ritzeh Adonai Eloheinu ve'amecha Yisrael u'tefilatam ve'ava tekabel u'tehilei ratzon tamid avodat Yisrael Yisrael Amecha El Karov Lechol Korav Penei El Avadecha Vechoneinu Shefoch Ruchacha Aleinu V'techezena Eineinu Beshuvecha LeZion Berachamim Baruch atah Adonai Hamachazir Shechinato LeZion
For all of the blessings of our lives, we too often look past them too quickly or don't even pause and notice. But on Shabbat, it is our time to just take a breath and to reflect and to acknowledge, of course, those blessings. And so we're going to join together in the middle of page 281 with these words, Ve'al kulam, for all of these miracles and wonders, we give thanks.
Ve'al kulam, ve'al kulam, yitbarach ve'yitromam, yitbarach ve'yitromam, shima malkeinu tamid le'olam va'alem, ve'chol ha'chaim yodu chasela, v'halelu et shimcha be'emet, ha'el yeshoteinu ve'ezrateinu, ezrateinu selah. Ve'al kulam, yitbarach ve'yitromam, yitbarach ve'yitromam, shimcha malkeinu tamid le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha, hatov shimcha, ulecha na'eh, na'eh, le'odot.
A prayer for shalom, for peace in our world, page 282.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim le'olam. Ki ata melech Adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata melech Adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha tasim le'olam. V'tov beinecha levarech et amcha Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם.
Take a moment now for silent prayer.
עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו amen.
I invite you to turn in your siddur to page 371. The middle of that page is our Misha Berach. We'll sing together this evening for healing. As we think of those in our community here at the shul and an extension of that circle, all of those we are praying for that they might find refuah shlema, complete healing of body and spirit. In particular, we think of Meir Tzvi, Evelyn Pitka, Rebecca Daum, Hannah Bat Sarah Vishmuel, Meir Zalman Ben Rachel, Dr. Anatia Ariana, Daniel Gottesman, Bill Shaw, Vivian Garfinkel, Sarah Chiachi, Andrew Jason Bruce, Lawrence Daum, Claire Columbia, Jack Karp, Dan Badash, Victor Lewin, Fran Goldberg, Matt Good, Alicia Eckersley, Tsipa Bat Ita, Hannah Bild, Leto and Jay, Alan Pitch, Asher Gavriel Ben Mordechai, Yoshua Vasara Elishev, David Coulter, Apollonia Wilczynski, Elena Cobb, Annette Albert, Carla Zivit, Doris Medved, Janet Gelb, Jean Angus, Judy Steiner Losberg, David Shlomo Gorney, and Andrea Jarsbiak. There are other names of people you're thinking of, if you would rise and share them at this time. We'll join together.
May the source of strength, who bless the ones to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi sheberach imotenu mekol habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. And Mazel Tov, Mayel, and your whole family. Excited to celebrate with you all of this Shabbat, and thank you to your family for sponsoring our Oneg Shabbat tonight. We'll enjoy after our service. I just want to call your attention to a few announcements of upcoming events. A lot happening, certainly with Hanukkah coming up. There's a lot going on at the shul. But just to draw your attention to a few things. First of all, if you're in need of any Hanukkah supplies, gift wrap, cards, dreidels, etc., our Temple Sholom school every year does a pop-up shop. It's a great fundraiser for our school and a way to get sometimes those hard-to-find things for Hanukkah. So if you have questions, Jen Jaffe, our school principal's here, and you can ask her as well. We have also for Hanukkah coming up on the 13th of December, Tuesday, our Shalom Shishim, our seniors program. It's going to be a Hanukkah lunch, a party, and music with our own Cantor Cohen and Aaron Aberle-Palm, who some of you already know, who is a wonderful, wonderful singer and performer. So that will be, again, on the 13th. And then our Eastside Jews is having a pre-Hanukkah Shabbat dinner at the Renfrew Community Center on the 16th. And then our congregational Hanukkah Shabbat, the Shabbat during Hanukkah, the 23rd, we're going to have a wonderful Freilich, both Shabbat dinner with latkes and wonderful food, and then our Temple Shalom band. What are we called again? The Temple Tones? Temple Tones are playing. So that will be an earlier service, so a 5:30 dinner, a 6:30 service, and lots of fun. So please join us for that. The last thing I'll mention, it's not Hanukkah related, but really wonderful, is a program happening this coming week on Thursday, the evening with the other people. This is the group Rabbi Bregman has been so instrumental in coming together of interfaith and intercultural parts of our broader Vancouver community. This group traveled together to Israel and Dubai earlier this year, and they're going to talk about that. That's Thursday at 8:00 p.m. here in the sanctuary. So who's been watching the World Cup? Some, okay. I mean, I know Canada didn't do great, but it was amazing that we were there. Honestly, I haven't actually watched a single game, I have to tell the truth. But I kind of like watching the people going to the World Cup and the excitement about the World Cup. It's fascinating to me. I think, I didn't grow up so much with soccer, but it's the big sport around the world. And there's something about it, it's almost like a religious experience for people to go on a kind of like a pilgrimage, right? And it's not to one particular place every 4 years, but to this event. And I was thinking a little bit about what that means, and is there, this kind of secular religious experience, and how does that work? And it actually got me thinking more about sports places that themselves have become pilgrimage sites. And I was thinking, especially now, so going back, a number of years now, when I used to live in Boston, the pilgrimage place is Fenway, the Red Sox stadium. And people go there and like they cry, they see it and it's so exciting. And there's other stadiums like this I know all over the place. And the other one that I know of, and it's more because I don't like it, because I grew up in Minnesota and we don't like the Green Bay Packers, but Lambeau Field, where the Green Bay Packers play, which is in Green Bay, Wisconsin is like a weird place for a football team to be, but people go crazy for Lambeau. And I was looking for something, so I wanted someone's account of what it's like to go to Lambeau. And I found a great little kind of journal entry by Bill Simmons, who's a great sports writer. He writes for a lot, he does podcasts now and things like that. But he wrote, this was from 2006 for ESPN. He was writing about going to Lambeau Field, the stadium for the Green Bay Packers. So this is what he wrote. We're walking in. I have goosebumps on my goosebumps. We spent the last 20 years ripping down nearly every stadium or arena that ever meant something. Boston Garden, Montreal Forum, Mile High Stadium, Chicago Stadium, etc., and a hallowed few remain. This is one of them. There are 6 ways to know you're entering a transcendent stadium. 1, it's more simple than you expected, shockingly so. 2, you feel the history everywhere you turn. Retired numbers, statues, signs that look like they've been kicking around for 60 years. 3, the ushers and vendors are positively ancient. 4, when you find your section and see the field, court, ice for the first time, you get a major rush. 5, you can't help but think, wow, insert the name of your favorite athlete, played here. And 6, and he says, one unique quirk pushes everything over the top. It's the big thing. At Fenway, it's the monster, the green monster. At Wrigley, it's the ivy. At the Rose Bowl, it's the staggering size. At Yankee Stadium, it's the symmetry of the upper decks and how they tower over the field. And at Lambeau, the clouds hug the top of the stadium. You can't see anything else for miles. It's like the real-life field of dreams. So with so many people having, like Bill Simmons, these deeply moving, maybe sort of religious experiences in these very secular places, it begs the question, what actually makes a place holy? In this week's Parashah Vayetze, Jacob struggles with a similar question about the intrinsic holiness of any given place. Jacob has that famous dream about a stairway filled with divine angels climbing up and down. And during this narrative, there is one word that is used 7 times. The Hebrew word is makom, the place. The repetition of that word is surely a hint that Torah is trying to say something here. Many have wondered, where exactly was this place, this makom, where Jacob had such an amazing dream? If the word makom is so key in this passage, surely the location is of prime importance. Now, some commentators, rabbis over the generations have tried to figure out this exact place. Rashi actually said that this place was none other than Mount Moriah, the same mountain our tradition teaches that Abraham climbed with Isaac before binding him to the altar, the same mountain in Jerusalem that would become the location of the Beit HaMikdash, the Holy Temple. But I think those who focus on the place actually miss the point of the story. In the case of Jacob, who's about to go into exile, he's left his parents' home, the use of a generic place is to assure Jacob that God's presence is not restricted to one geographic site, or even to the Promised Land. God would accompany and protect Jacob beyond the borders of the land of Israel. Closer to the spirit of this story is the lesson we learned from Rabban Gamliel in around the year 70, when he asked, why did God choose to reveal God's self to Moses in a little bush, a little burning bush in the middle of nowhere. He answers to make the point that there is no place on earth which is devoid of God's presence. In time, Rabban Gamliel's view became concretized in one of those nicknames we give to God, which is one of my favorite of all of these Hebrew words for God, Hamakom, the place, maybe the ever-present, ever-everywhere one. This term expands beyond the measure the simple idea of place, of makom. Through this name, God is conceived as the space in which the universe exists. God is neither outside the world nor a resident within it. The world constitutes a part of God. Judaism is not about the sanctity of any specific place. The sanctuary that we sit in right now is beautiful. It's warm, which is good. It attempts to draw us in with spirit of contemplation, but it's not intrinsically holy. What matters in Judaism is the minyan, the people that make up a community, not the location of the synagogue. In fact, you can have a minyan, and they do exist in Yankee Stadium, and others, I'm sure. This focus on the spirit rather than the place has enabled us as Jews to survive for so many generations of exile and displacement. Now, there is one place, of course, where we do have a particular relationship with geography and feel that it does have a unique and special essence, which of course is Eretz Yisrael, the land of Israel and Jerusalem specifically. So is there a contradiction in what I'm saying? Maybe. But I actually think Jacob's experience in the wilderness can help us there too. In his dream, Jacob was promised by God that he and his descendants would return to the land. But the promise was one of potentiality. It was up to Jacob, up to all of us in each generation, to imbue that land with holiness. When Jacob awoke from his dream, he cried out, "God was surely in this place, and I did not know it. Ma norah hamakom hazeh, how awesome is this place?" Jacob really has taught us the answer to the question I began with. What makes a place holy? Holiness comes from our willingness to open our eyes to the possibility of sanctified moments everywhere. Too often we forget to take notice of the place in which we find ourselves. If we look deeper, if we are patient perhaps, we might find that stairway to God is always in our midst. Shabbat Shalom. Please turn to page 586. We'll rise together for Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו במשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגור עלינו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו ושכינתו זו בגובהי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אינו, אל מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום מחשבות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא אלוהים בשמיים ממעל ועל
590.
Sorry, 590. That's the page we're on. 590. Ki hamalchut shachayim u'le'atim loch v'chavod ka'katuv b'toratecha Adonai lo le'olam va'eno v'ne'eman ve'haya Adonai le'melech ha'kol haaretz b'yom ha'hu yeh Adonai echad u'shmo echad.
Please be seated. I know you're saying, that's not how the Aleinu ends. It ends with that other melody. The melodies didn't come from Sinai, only the words. The melodies come from our hearts. They come from our community. And there are some beautiful new melodies out there, and we thank Cantor Cohen for bringing them to us that allow us perhaps to express the song in our heart that hasn't been given a soundtrack quite just yet. We turn in our prayer books now as our thoughts turn to loved ones who are not with us, but whose memory always is. We say in tradition that their memory should be for a blessing, and we make it a blessing when we remember them and draw lessons from their life. On page 594, why should I wish to see God better than this day? I see something of God in each hour of the 24, in each moment then. In the faces of men and women I see God, and in my own face in the glass, in the mirror. I find letters from God dropped in the street, and every one is signed by God's name. And I leave them where they are, those things I find. For I know that wheresoever I go, others will punctually come forever and ever. On this Shabbat, we recall those who died during this past week, whose families are in the midst of Shiva and Shloshim, these past 30 days of mourning. As I read the name of your loved one, if you could please rise and remain standing here or at home if you're joining us online. Shelley Superstein Alexander, Daron Cohen, Betty Levy. And those for whom the Yortzeit, the anniversary of the death of your loved one, falls on this Shabbat, if you too could rise as I read their name, as we can comfort you in our midst. Lottie Ames, Nicholas Berkzeller, Harry Brody, Bobby Cairns, Sharon Chirkover, Helen Cherry, Michael Conrad, Melvin Kopovich, Ruth Davis, Sarah Dine, Bill Durpak, Joseph Ehrlich, George Feldman, Lenore Freeman, Nellie Friedrichs, Raymond Gassoy, Betty Brindle Gelfand, Alan Lawrence Goldberg, Eileen Goldberg, Irma Gordon, Hans Schmuel Gruenthal, Alex Gaimarte, Rosalie Harden, Leo James, William Kagan, Igor Kaplan, Rita Katz, Dorothy King, Morton Knatson, Dorothy Leffert, Mila McGill, Jack Key Ma, Rhoda Mandelman, Ruth Mishler, Bezalel Mondlak, Walter Mott, Ann Nyman, Samuel Pudovic, Malka Pudovic, Pearl Rosenbaum, Saul Rind, Derek Salzberg, Shindle Shapira, Benjamin Sheftel, Edna Lee Shanker, Isaac Simkin, Morris Slate, Esther Stefan, Jean Turnbull, T. Unger, Mildred Valentine Weinstein, Ann Winter, Naomi Zara. There are others who've come to say Kaddish, names I've missed or mispronounced. If you could rise and call them out in the midst of our congregation as well. We look around the congregation, we see those that have stood in mourning. We don't want them to stand alone, so we rise now and stand by their side, providing the comfort of our presence, recalling all those who've died in defense of freedom and justice, victims of terror in this land, the land of Israel, around the world, and those who died in the Shoah and the Holocaust have no family left to remember them, recalling them for blessing Kaddish Yatom, page 598. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalma divrach yeruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, v'chayechon v'yomechon uv'chayeh d'chol Beit Yisrael, v'agala uv'izman kariv v'yimaru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam olamei olmaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudisha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiron be'alma v'yimaru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimaru. Amen. Osei shalom b'mromav, huya asei shalom, aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael, v'kol yoshvei tevel v'yimaru. Amen. May the source of peace and peace to all who mourn comfort the bereaved among us, and we say together, Amen. We remain standing for a moment. We're going to ask Mael to come join Cantor Cohen down at the Amud down there so that she can lead us in Kiddush and Motzi. And following that, we'll have a closing song. And following that, we want to invite you all to join us in our social hall for an Oneg Shabbat sponsored by the family.
So you're going to hold this in one hand.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, porei pri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu tav ratzavanu, v'shabbat kosho b'havratzon hinilanu, zikra ma'aseh v'reshit, ki yom tehila lemikayet kodesh, zeher letzia mitzrayim, kivanu v'harta, v'tanu kidashta, mikol hamim, v'shabbat kosheha, v'ahava uvratzon hinatanu, Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Amen. Take a sip. Fine. Yeah, we're going to uncover this beautiful, beautiful challah cover.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lehem min haaretz.
Amen. Now you get to rip some off. You can have some. Just take it to your back to your sink.
Maya, why don't you take the challah to your family and share with them? Not just one piece to your hand, but like the whole thing.
Okay, there'll be enough challah for everyone. We close with this prayer that we build a world based on love. Olam chesed yivaneh, yalalai, lalai, yalalai, lai. 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 We shall build this world from love, yalalai, lalai, yalalai, lai. And you must build this world from love, yalalai, lalai, yalalai, lai. And if we build this world from love, yalalai, lalai, yalalai, lai, then God will build this world from love, yalalai, lalai, yalalai, lai.
Due to the pending weather, which may or may not arrive, Torah study is going to be online tomorrow, not at the synagogue services. Those start at 10 a.m. They will be here, but also online. But come for Mayel's bar mitzvah and just come for Shabbat. Join us in our social hall. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.